Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on where you are watching or listening. This is Cow Daily. We're back. Today, Reform UK. A specific focused around Russia and also the NHS. What today is I've collated a few different sort of bits of videos, things like that, little bits of evidence which point towards what reform will do with the NHS going forwards. So, have a little break first in the time honored tradition, as there's a lag always on these streams. Get the music on. Shouts to Sharon, who got in touch and said, this music right here was a blast from the past. Get yourselves involved. And when you turn up, let us know in the comments. Cheers, chaps. Bonjour, Geordie Timmy. In the comments, let us know if there's a reboot. Let us know if there's a reboot. How he's getting on. Geordie Jimmy's in the hoose. Slaz, right back at you with a cow emoji, sir. Nice to see you, Wazzy, up right back at you. Oh, man. A bit better today. It comes and goes, as you can probably tell. Got the tissues at hand, so hopefully we don't have to have an emergency one off the wrist. I mean, blow the nose. If you're just joining, we're Reform UK today. Great, eh? Them lot. James Bashford, nice to see you. Hello, Mr. Hollywood, Geordie Jimmy. I see you. Right. What have we got? What have we got? Starters we mean to go on. Andy Taylor, morning guys at work, so we'll catch up if I miss out. Soundmate, just loads of stuff about Reform UK. I'm going to start with this. Rupert Lowe, former Southampton FC chairman, had his fash fallout, tweeted this. I have received a lot of questions about Nathan Gill, having sat as a Brexit Party MEP alongside him in Brussels and Strasbourg. He was also the reform leader in Wales. For those who don't know, he's pleaded guilty to taking pro-Russia bribes over a number of months. Obviously, I had no idea. I was new to the European Parliament. Nathan had been there for years alongside Farage. They were very close. He was the head of the delegation of our MEP, so with the whip ran the day-to-day affairs of our group in an organised activity in Brussels and Strasbourg. He was one of just two MEPs from the previous term Farage allowed to stand again. He seemed particularly interested in Russian, Ukrainian developments, which I found peculiar. There was one event right at the beginning of our term when he asked me and other MEPs to attend due to his position in the group, and I agreed. It had a very pro-Russian slant with individuals who claimed to be close to Putin there. For obvious reasons, I did not attend another such event. I thought his obsession with that part of the world was strange, but given his years in the parliament and position in the party, I didn't think there was more to it. Other MEPs also found it unusual, but we just got on with the job. So to journalists asking, there is my response, is disgraceful behaviour, treasonous behaviour. I am ashamed to have ever sat alongside him. Rupert Lowe experiencing shame. My God. Jez Hunt's about oi. So the first half of the show is going to be focused on getting some of the material forward regarding Russia and just getting it on the show. So next one is this. Check out, as well as what he's saying, check out Farage's haircut, man. That's some old school business right there. Let's have a look at him. Full screen, or Slaz will tell us off. Let's see what he has to say. Caption reads, Mr. Farage's best friend is Vladimir Putin. Nigel Farage has been echoing Putin's narrative since the 90s and now wants you to know he knew nothing about Nathan Gill and his Russian bribes. Let's find out more from Sky News. Look at that little. It's like his ma hasn't licked her thumb. She's licked the palm of her hand and slapped it on his.
I was asked a couple of months ago which world leader did I admire, and I said Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin, whatever we may think of him as a human being, is actually on our side.
Mr. Farage's best friend is Vladimir Putin.
The quote was right, the statesman you most admire. And you did it after he seized Crimea.
The unnecessary provocation of Vladimir Putin. We ourselves in the European Union provoked the conflict through our territorial expansion.
So I'm just going to cut in there. That's like a montage which goes on for a couple of minutes. It's unfortunately got back in the USSR on. I wish people, when they were doing montages, would respect the copyright. So you get this sense he's been talking about Ross Thompson cutting in with Syrian political analysis, screams wrong in that haircut at all times. I find at all times. So we're just going to pivot to this one. This from Reform Party UK Exposed, and they're sharing a Nathan Gill tweet from the 1st of July 2021. Let's see what they've got to say here.
That's something, isn't it? It's overwhelming.
So there we are.
It's real. I mean, I have to say.
So here you are. You are now in the belly of the beast, aren't you? This is your chamber.
And where do we know where we're sitting at this point?
None of these people knew Nathan Gill very well. In the European Parliament. I mean, nobody knew them. It's quite amusing to me how these people are just like, I didn't am. And then, as we're pointing out, there's all kinds of like, you definitely knew him. Jez has chipped in. I'm sure that at any point the BBC will be putting up a picture of Farage in a Russian hat at any moment, now like they did with Corbyn. That is a fine point, as ever, sir. A fine point. Rob Murphy in the house. Hello, right back at you, Rob. Hope you're keeping well, pal. Crazy times. We're going to keep this moving. Hold on a minute. Just going to check this one. Oh, hold on a minute. That's not good. 2 seconds. Right, just had a bit of a wardrobe malfunction there. So let's play this. Here we go. This is Farage here claiming some lies. So here's Farage claiming to tell Glyn Jones that he's the only senior figure in Reform who's ever met Nathan Gill. And here's Reform's deputy leader, Richard Tice, introducing Gill in glowing terms. Right, here we're going.
You know, the comment that Zia Youssef made, I'm the only person in the senior management team of Reform that's ever even met him.
So how are they trying to claim, right, when we've clearly seen them all floating about in Parliament, they didn't know him? So there's been, I'll choose my words carefully, allegations of Russian involvement, not just with Farage, going back to UK, Reform, Brexit, all of these type of things. We're talking about the wider fash movement, aka the movement adjacent around Bannon and people of that nature, all across that. And it was alluded to just earlier in one of these bits. The certain groupings in the European Parliament, there's so many of them with Russian adjacency. You look at America, all of the sort of Krasnov allegations around Trump, Krasnov being his supposed code word with the FSB, which followed on from the KGB. And yet what they've defaulted to is claiming they just don't know him. don't know. It is absolute lunacy. I mean, some of you will probably have seen Zach Polanski going at it with Zia Youssef on Question Time recently. So for me, there's a lot of questions here, more questions than answers in some regard. However, I'd like to share this and something a bit closer to home. This is, on the screen, you're invited to a proper Durham Christmas with Reform UK. And then there's pictures of Darren Grimes, Zia Youssef, and Matt Goodwin's awful. I grew up a few miles from this place, and these people in there just horrendous. Common Sense apparently is back on the menu in Stanley County, Durham. It's £15. All fun, stay local. Venue to be confirmed. Hardly surprised, but it is December the 2nd, 6 p.m. Date for your diaries there. The only gift the establishment is getting is Reform. You are the swamp. You are the establishment. All you are is a Tory rebrand, because quite simply, Reform it needed to exist for this to carry over in certain parts of the north because of the long shadow of the Tories. So where we're at now is I remember having like Christmas parties at the social club, right? You get your selection box, sit on Santa's knee, all of that stuff. And it was Alfrey and all of that type of thing. Like, this type of stuff is apparently where it's at now. We have no more social clubs, and you've got these absolute bloody monsters floating into the area. Where I'm from has been absolutely targeted by these people. And I do want to point out, like, there'll be a time where I'm able to speak about this more and source it, whatever. What I'm saying is the speculation and allegations out there is that Durham County Council, being run currently by Reform, is an absolute mess. It's an absolute mess. More details to follow going forward when I'm slightly better, and can pull together that without running into legal trouble. But the allegations are that it's an absolute mess. Does this not really, really get on your hint? It gets right on mine. Right, I'm just going to have a quick throat break because I am the throat goat. Yeah, I'm just going to have a quick throat break. Bear with us, and I'll return after I've drank some water. Madness. Let us know what you think of this in the comments, by the way. Morning, Joanne. How are you doing? Nice to see you. Do you think, and obviously, allegedly with speculation, do you think that Reform and maybe others are being funded by Russia? Do you think that that's occurring? Because dancing around it a little bit, there seems to be a hell of a lot of stuff that they're not in denying, flat out denying, where it's been proven quite clearly that you know, we'll have to be asking some questions, man. Like fully asking some questions. So I just wanted today, because I'm going to do about maybe half an hour for me throat and that kind of thing. Today we can just bank this stuff, and I'm going to refer back to it, so I've got it going forward. NHS this week specifically, and this is linked to sort of the rise of the Greens and talking about it on our social media. There's been a hell of a lot of like sort of people like Reform supporters, comments like this. Greens ate the new Monster Raven Looney Party, but he got in quick, changed his type of the new Monster Raven Looney Party. We've seen a hell of a lot of that sort of disinfo pipeline stuff, like across the board with the right, the far right, and a lot of the wider media and all of this like centrist, so sixth form politics stuff. They're really rattled by it. I mean, I've obviously, as you know, follow the disinfo platforms, the fashion influencers, all of these type of people. And you're just getting this party line from them, like same way with what happened with Corbyn in some regard, where they're just like not talking substantively about policy or anything like that. They can't, as will come on the NHS later on in this show. They can't do that. What they have to do is belittle, give it this Monster Raven, the new Monster Raven Looney Party type crack, and that's just one of multiple. It's all of this like attack the character, won't talk about policy. I keep asking them, Farage and Reform are going to privatise the NHS. How much are you prepared to pay per month for your healthcare? And all you get is blanket denial. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to play some stuff. I'm going to put some stuff up on the screen so we've banked it, not overtax my throat a bit, and boom shakalak, we're here. So let's have a look at this one. This is from BBC Election. It was Nick Robinson exposes Nigel Farage's desire to turn the NHS into an insurance-based system where you pay to see a doctor. So, interesting.
You've made the point, and you've done it in interviews with me over many years, that you have said, look, the NHS doesn't work as it is now. We need to be brave enough, you say, to consider a completely new system. Would you be honest enough to admit what that might mean? In France, and you've often praised the French health system, you effectively have to take your wallet to go and see the doctor. There's a charge of €25 to go and see a family doctor.
No. If you turn up, you don't pay that charge. If you don't turn up, you forfeit it. That's how the French do it.
There's a €25 charge to see a family doctor.
Well, no, because you get it back. It's refunded.
Okay, in Ireland there's a 50. In Ireland there's a €50 charge.
Ireland doesn't have.
To see the GP.
Ireland does not have a health service anything like us. You've got to ask yourself a question: what is the NHS for, right? And the original concept, the one we should defend totally now, is that it's free at the point of delivery. The argument that I'm making, and by the way, very interesting, Professor Carol Sikora, global cancer expert,
agrees with you.
has said, look, Nigel's thinking is right. The question is, how do we get there? And everybody would say to you that the French have a mutual system where if you, out of your income, some of your money goes towards an insurance policy, effectively. And if you haven't got the money, you don't pay. And
Let me be clear with viewers who don't know.
Those firms...
You pay the doctor and then you claim the money back. So you do take your wallet to the doctors because you pay and then your insurance gives you back. It's a big change. I'm just asking you whether you want to do it.
Well, it costs you nothing to go to the doctor, right? Because you get it back. And the reason they do that, and by the way, British GPs have this problem, is people book appointments and don't turn up. All right? So actually, think about it, it makes sense.
Okay, understood. It's quite a big change, and you want to make it.
So, let us know in the comments what you think of that. As I say, we're going to get this banked, get some more on here. So this next one posted by Haggis on Twitter. Beth Rigby, do you want the NHS still funded through general taxation? Nigel Farage, no, I don't want it funded through general taxation. Oh, excuse me, that just had to happen. There's a lot going on there. Oh, sorry about this. I'm doing my best. Right, Bob Fleming in the area. Let's see what Farage is saying here.
Just to be clear, do you want it still funded through general taxation, or you think you need to look at the funding model?
I do not want it funded through general taxation.
Right, okay.
It doesn't work.
So what that means in effect is he doesn't want it funded by general taxation. So that means private funding. So, we're not going to get some benevolent billionaires coming in saying, I'm going to pay for all this for everybody. Let's get the healthcare system sorted. No, what they're doing is, like stated, is they're like literally licking their lips about carving up the NHS. That's what they're doing. And I would suggest that these type of parties are set up, funded to try and carry these things over by spreading misinformation and disinformation, telling half the tale, and basically allegedly earning money out of it for themselves. I mean, I don't think Farage would be that kind of guy, really, like, would he? So let's see what the comments are saying. Jez, hi Nigel, got any of your alleged Russian cash invested in private health? That's definitely something when I'm feeling a bit better that we might go down a rabbit hole on. Used by a very specific set of new skills. James Bashford, hello pal. The amount of people who would not seek medical help if there was any initial cost would be really high. All this would do is put so many people's health and lives at risk. Indeed it would. And during a week where the Daily Mail of all rags ran an article which says, let me show you. Just bear with us. I've got to now share this. Breaking news, no less. Experts prove long COVID is real. No shit, Sherlock. It could help explain why millions continue to experience problems with brain fog. As somebody who got that OG long COVID before the vaccines were even on the market, you can imagine the mixed range of emotions that I've felt. But bringing it back to the piece in question, we've got millions of people in this country, millions, going down a path that I went down unknowingly. If I knew then what I know now, then I wouldn't have been moving like I was. But we do. So I've come out the other side, one hopes. And like without the NHS, right? Like, and without people being able to access the NHS, and as James quite rightly points out, the amount of people it's going to put off, add all of that up. Also look at what the Labour government have done. They've took vaccine access for COVID, right, away from 16 million people, including my parents, just because they're under 75. Crazy. So how much does that cost in the UK? Probably over 100 quid a head, if not more. So if you're looking at a sort of family of 4 every 6 months to get like pay for boosters, right? In America, long COVID has just overtook the #1 childhood illness. So a lot of the rhetoric throughout the pandemic has been around how COVID doesn't affect children in the same way. Wrong. It really affects them. It affects them because COVID and repeat infections, no surprise to anybody listening to this, I would think, damages the immune system and it really smashes children. But what happens if we shut the schools? Then we also, during lockdowns, what happens? People can't get into work, homework, and that affects commercial landlords. Because the companies are like, yeah, we don't need this office. Or companies are tied into these big leases. So it's just this like really weird carousel of lies. Black Dog Industries, nice to see you, pal. They're selling it as old ground between the NHS and full insurance, but that never really works either. My mum lives in Turkey, which is a government-run health insurance scheme. But they do that because their tax takes so low. In the US, when my dad got ill, he paid $200 for some standard antibiotics. I mean, that's kind of cheap compared to some places. I mean, the #1 form of bankruptcy in America is from healthcare. And that legally often gets passed on to the family. So we all know that Labour want to do the same. Before, like, go to Should I Vote Labour on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/cowdaily. I've done plenty on what Labour are wanting to do. So when I'm hearing Wes Streeton like come out and say certain things, it's like, that's you. You are doing that. You are going to do that too. It's a carousel of lies with these people. Look at the healthcare funding. Look at the private healthcare funders and who they're funding. Like, you know, it's quite obvious, like, follow the money as usual. So in a time when even the Daily Mail are admitting that long COVID is real, and by the way, the backdrop is, even recently when Violet Affleck was masked up, talking to the UN about clean air and mitigations and whatever recently, they did a hit piece on her. That was a couple of weeks ago. I want to know what's going on when you've got even the fash media admitting this. Do you know how much shit that I've got even from family members? Like, one recently when I was in Newcastle all summer, right? Family member had it with him properly about this. Just absolutely lost. I nearly died from this. And people are still lost because without that cope, without that delusion, and it goes that deep to, I don't even know how he could dispute it. Honestly, I wanted to slap the face off him, but what are you going to do? Fortunately, I now can again. So think twice. This type of shit is just ultra wrong and it has to stop. So anyway, more, this time from Green Organise, and shouts to Greens Organise, doing sterling work. I'll just get that up on the screen for you. Excuse me, the throat's kind of holding up, so better than last time. So it's saying here, it's estimated that 500,000 Americans declare bankruptcy every year due to medical debt. Nigel Farage wants us to pay for medical insurance at a privatised NHS. Is this something that you want in the UK? We don't. Let's see.
And I speculated that we're heading for a huge looming health disaster, and that perhaps one of the ways we can partially deal with this is to use the private sector more extensively. And my belief that the private sector could upscale more quickly than the NHS and the public sector. And I've argued consistently since July the 19th that one of the ways we could help take pressure off the National Health Service is by giving people tax incentives to get private medical insurance.
Farage wants you paying for health insurance, but what does that actually look like?
If I would have had insurance for me at that time, healthcare that I would have been able to afford, I would have easily accepted it. But again, it comes the question of having somewhere to live, having something to eat, gas to get back and forth to work. So, you know.
Those were the choices you were wrestling with?
Of course. You know, those are everyday life choices that a lot of people have to make.
If it can't be fixed with like Advil, NyQuil, and a good night's sleep, I don't really have a solution for it.
I don't know what I would do if I got very ill or very injured. Honestly, I haven't been to a doctor since my 11th grade physical.
Billed our insurance company over $3 million for the cost of transplant. Then I have another EOB right after it, which was another $1 million. So you're looking at a $4 million transplant. I don't know what people do without insurance. How could you even begin to pay that?
It's estimated that 500,000 Americans a year declare bankruptcy or sell their home to pay medical debt. Is this what you want in the UK? We don't.
Shouts to Greens Organise. Great work. It's coming. And this is one of the battlegrounds we need to fight going forward. Because as I keep saying, voting's not going to be enough. We need to be active out there, knocking on doors, organising online, just like the Fash have, getting into those spaces, winning the argument. And honestly, the best way, yeah, it's a laugh, taking the piss and whatever, but it's well worth getting into those spaces and just asking like simple grey man type questions. How much are you prepared to pay? Like, how much are you prepared to pay for your healthcare per month? Literally, I must have done it 10 times when we've had reform people on these Green Party threads on the social media. Not one of them answers it. They either ghost it or they just start going, "Oh, loony Green Party," or just you know what they're like. They're like the living embodiment of a fucking laugh react. They've got nothing substantial, but that's where we win. We get into them and we just simply ask questions that they can't answer without crashing out, and then just sit back and let them crash out. You know why? Because over time, when what we're doing does provide answers, then we win. We've just got to be out there doing it because we've got each other. They've got billionaire funding. We've got the numbers. They've got the money. I would strongly suggest that it's not set in stone, but if we get the numbers mobilized and organized, then we can win. Simple as that. Nice to see you, Matty. Knock your 9 doors. But then he goes on to say, he's not coughing. Maybe we need rehearsal meetings where we have the conversations. I'm trying to make something happen at the minute, and things like that may be in place. I've identified this a while ago, and I really think now's the time to start moving that forward. We've got the all-out council elections next May, I think May the 7th, if I remember rightly. And then obviously we're building towards the general election in a few years. So there's time. There's time to build our networks. There's time. So that one of the reasons I want to bring this up, this is going to be one of the main talking points that we're going to break them on, because they've got no answers. And what we do have, if you excuse my throat, is skills, experience. As you know, I've went out and when I was sick, I went and did courses with the BBC and the FP, and they're there to be used, and I'm using them. So we're going to turn this over. We're going to do fine investigative work, and it's getting into the public domain sharpish. Just waiting on my throat catching up, really. Just on Matty's point, though, yeah, it could be on Zoom, and I think that's important, because what it does is it allows people who have childcare, work, whatever, to get involved. It's much more accessible to do it that way, and also produces a transcript, which makes it easier to action things, and it's just much more efficient. So I completely and utterly agree with you, and it's definitely something that's in hand, and it's something that hopefully is going to happen quite soon, but just bear with us. I can't speak about it, and you'll know why either. Black Dog Industries is saying, saw a US story about a man who lost his wife and unborn child in childbirth, and he now has insurance companies chasing him for thousands of dollars his insurance didn't cover. And that will be a story writ large across the UK. You look at that lady talking about how she was choosing between food and healthcare and all that. People right now are absolutely nipping because of the cost of living. I mean, I don't need to tell you, we are those people. So you add healthcare on top of that. During an ongoing pandemic, people can delude themselves all they want. Evidence is there. People will die, be disabled, but imagine doing that without any kind of healthcare. I mean, it's not great at the minute, and it's not just long COVID. There's a whole range of stuff. My parents have paid into the system all of their lives through national insurance. Like, they should be getting everything they need. I mean, my mother had an operation in the summer, and I was there helping out. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, what would have happened without the NHS that they've paid for? This should make everybody furious, because we're being blagged, and Labour are going to do the same thing. We've already detailed that in the previous series. Absolutely just utter rottenness. Anyway, moving on to this brick-headed dafty, Lee Anderson. Let's see what he's got to say when Will Hayward, a Welsh journalist, asks him the questions that he needs to be asked.
Just to be clear, the Welsh NHS waiting lists are hundreds of thousands of people, and you're going to change procurement and cut waste, and that, how long will that take to sort out those wait lists?
I don't know. Do you know?
Well, you're running for office, I'm not.
No, I'm not running for office in here.
Your party is.
No, we're running for the Senate elections in 18
when
months' time.
If you were to
listen, you're not paying attention, are you? You know, you're trying to catch me. You're not paying attention. The NHS can be run much better. It would be run much better with a reform government. We know that for a fact.
But when you say run better, I don't understand what that means.
You're just not paying attention to anything.
You said I'm going to cut waste.
Cut the waste, make it run more efficiently.
Which waste?
Use the private sector. Procurement, anything you buy within the NHS can be bought cheaper.
But that's going to reduce waiting lists.
Well, of course it is, because you can use that money to employ more people.
Right, so how much would you save?
No idea.
But you're running for office. Your party's running to run the Welsh NHS, but you don't know how.
It's going to be millions and millions of pounds. We know that for a fact. I mean, look at the money we're spaffing on the NHS.
But the Welsh NHS is £10 billion.
Yeah,
even if you spend 200 million, it's 2%.
2% of what?
It's 2% of the Welsh NHS budget.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
200 billion is 2% of 10 billion.
I'll repeat again what I've just said already.
Right.
There's millions and millions of pounds being wasted in the NHS, not just in Wales, but in England.
So there's your man there, Lee Anderson, who we have detailed is really good friends with what appears to be a white power fascist scooter club in his local area. They're his friends. Anyway, just as an aside, was saying, privatized healthcare will kill people in rural areas. There simply isn't the income. I just want to give a key point to your point. Farage keeps invoking the French system. France in rural areas is having huge problems because of depopulation. Like people not being able, as you say, not being able to afford to live in rural areas. This is a problem like across the board. Like people can't afford to because of jobs, etc. So what that means is less healthcare. If it's run more on a private model, what do you think? What do you think is going to happen? What's going to happen is there's going to be even less services because it wouldn't be profitable. As a country, what we're supposed to do is take the whole view of the country. So maybe it's the rural areas to keep that hospital going, for example, it might actually run at a loss, but the overall thing should be not for profit. So that's a moot point. The overall thing should be, yes, I fully agree. The overall thing needs to be looked at. It has for a long time. But what I'm going to strongly suggest is successive governments have like ran it down. Now, people always invoke, oh, such and such government gave X amount of money for this. It's thrown it into a black hole. It was nowhere near enough. And, you know, they can point to these announcements all they want. And if people just don't look beyond the headlines, then they're going to think, hold on a minute, he's talking absolute nonsense. I just saw what Jess says. Well, I'm surprised Lee Anderthal, I've never heard that one, has no answers, only the same rehearsed lines. He seems like such a clever lad. Absolutely. Talk about failing upwards, man. Morning woke crew, says Christopher. Morning. How you doing? Right. I've got a little clip here. And you'll know this lad by now. It's your boy Polanski. Right. What's Zach saying about this? This is an excerpt from his recent leadership speech at Green Conference in Bournemouth.
The Prime Minister might call this an island of strangers. When Farage says jump, Labour might say how high. But the Greens will never dance to the tune of a Trump-loving, tax-avoiding, science-denying, NHS-dismantling corporate stooge.
Get up. Get up. Go on, Zach, lad. So, what's good about now is we've finally got a political vehicle in the Greens who are actually saying the things that need to be said in the way that they need to be said. Now, that's fantastic. That's really, really good, as we know. Really good. Joanne's saying, I think I give my own round of applause for that. Yeah, I hear you, man. So anyway, I'll put this up as well. Just on lies. The Reform and Farage, as you've seen with some of these clips, dancing around it. What says here? Well. Reform lied its way to take control of Durham County Council by saying it will reduce council tax. Now it is forcing 30,000 of the poorest people in the county to pay council tax for the first time. Poor people vote Reform, become poorer. Like this as well is going to be one of the Achilles heels of them that we're going to keep prodding and prodding and prodding and prodding. Think of this fight like this, right? For those into the art of the scrap and whatever. There's different ways of winning a fight. Sometimes you just stay on the end of your jab and just keep jabbing and jabbing and jabbing and jabbing. And it adds up and it adds up. And eventually you keep them at range and then they're just done in and then you go in for the kill. Maybe it'll be in round 5, just before the general election. I don't know. But we're going to keep jabbing and jabbing and jabbing. And that's the strategy where I think we'll beat this lot. Shit jab, right? I'm gonna get my partner, right, to hold the pads for us, right? And I'm gonna show you, my friend, what an actual jab is. in front of a bloody microphone. Yeah, it's a shit job out there. If I was actually like just shut up, man. I'll show you a job next time I see you. They got no stamina, no legs. Do you mean me? I've got lots of stamina. Look at Matty really getting at us with me jab. Don't disrespect the jab. It's like a lance, man. It's like a lance. Don't talk about my job. This is another problem, right? Parents who spent the 90s and 2000s neck and neckies, ket and smarties like they were an acid, like they were fucking smarties, watching paracetamol get blamed for autism, health disinformation. Right? One thing I want to point out, this mob, for Reform, Farage, and then all of this like RFK Jr. stuff that they're linked in with the global the movement. Wellness. The wellness industry is billions of dollars and it dwarfs money to be made out of healthcare. We're seeing the move towards this, and I guarantee you some of this absolute cod shit that these people appear to have like deals with, shares with, that kind of thing. They'll bring that in. Stuff without much efficacy but will make money. It's just an absolute money bin. Jez is saying every reform council has cost a fortune and most are currently in collapse because of infighting. They may show the reality of reform government local areas before the election anyway. Key point. Sometimes you just got to get out of the way of the enemy and just let them make the mistakes and then shout about them. I'm telling you, this isn't by any means over. Now, I don't think reform have peaked. I think there'll be a lot more money thrown at it. But every day, another little thread is pulled out. And if we all pull one little thread out, then we'll win. So what we're saying, Black Dog, wellness, good wife, trad wife stuff is so linked up, it's unreal. Pipeline to the right separatist bullshit. Spot on. Those TikTok influencers with their affiliate deals for like fucking ivermectin or something. Matty's saying reform's just starting. Aye, but so are we. Would you look at this? 105,000 Green Party members. Just before Polanski was elected leader with an 85% mandate from the members, I think it was around 55 to 60,000 members at that point, and there'd been an uptick. Now 105,000, it went up 5,000 in a day, and it just grows and grows. So the hope is here. We'll have a political vehicle for it. Your party will sort themselves out, and we'll figure out any coalitions down the line as a wider movement, won't we? But right now, just get behind the Greens. And it's not like a just thing either. It's like, it's actually a really good outfit. I've had a lot of personal interaction with them, and I'm very impressed. So whether people like that or not, I don't know. But what we'll say, Green Party of England, Wales have said this: Reform UK want to take public spending down to 35% of GDP. That's a 275 billion cut, the equivalent of shutting down the NHS. That's a scarily similar amount of money. And didn't they just say before these elections that they weren't going to do it? Anyway, the Green Party knows the only way to rebuild our communities is by investing in our public services, not run them down and flog them off to the private sector. Thank God there's people saying that. On the doorstep, that will really cut through. We've just got to get our ducks in a row with like well-sourced information. Stick it on a leaflet. People don't want to hear it. Just leave it with them. Just keep chipping away, pulling away those threads. Matty's well up for it. Same, mate. You already know. Morning, Roy. Nice to see you. Coming in towards the end, pal, but always nice to see you. So there we go. Anything else you want to add? Let us know in the comments before we get off. I'm going to go and gargle with salt. Ross is saying, mate, my dad has been a brickie all his life, work hard, pay all his dues. He's just been given 3 years to live. He's applied for PIP and been refused. Wow. Firstly, I'm sorry to hear that, pal. I'm sorry to hear about the 3 year, and I'm sorry to hear about the PIP. Absolutely disgusting that he's paid into this system all of his life and he's been refused. We've got to fight this, and I know you're up for it. I know who you are. Right, always late at the party. Don't worry about it. We'll get there. What we're aiming for until like the last of this like long-term viral shit clears is twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursday mornings. I'm wanting to step that up, and as I get better, so you will have plenty time. 10 a.m. GMT Tuesdays and Thursdays. Jez, loving the frogs of resistance in the States. Yeah, tell us about that. Haven't the like the Pepe meme, hasn't people like anti-fascists reclaimed that? And is that something to do with how Groypers claimed Bella Ciao, the Italian anti-fascist resistance song? Is that what it is? Matty's saying he's got folks who can help with the PIP appeal. Spot on. Spot on. Slaz is saying, last weekend I was talking to some old family friends about their moving to Spain. They called themselves expats. I smirked and said, oh, you're going to be immigrants. They were disgusted with my comment. Mate, this is the definition of an expat. People who move to another country for like work or whatever, but always plan to go back to their country of origin. These people are immigrants. If they're not talking about coming back, immigrants. In Spain, there is no department of expats. None. Expat is rooted in colonial thought and thinking. It's to distinguish quite often predominantly white immigrants from how they maybe subconsciously otherwise see the great unwashed who aren't them. It's generally a special little term for the rich, or at least comfortably well off. Absolutely cringeworthy material, but what can you do? You call that radio in the house. Portland is people dressed up as frogs to bam up ice. That's class, that, like. I'm going to have to check that out. Really nice to see people in the comments reaching out to help Ross, and I just love his for it. That's one of the beauties of this community, isn't it? And going forward, I think, like, you know, that's why we've got every chance of winning. The, like, lovely unity and empathy that you show between each other. Love it. And just speaking up for Ross there, one of the greatest kids ever, does so much in his community, just a lovely lad, like, deserves, him and his family, just class, deserve all the help in the world. And same way, Ross, you already know, goes out saying, out I can help you with here, more than happy. And I think, as people have said in the comments, you know, Pip, I think it was something around 80% of appeals are people win. So didn't give up, keep it going, and let me know how you're getting on, and if we can like serve you in any way. Just much love to you and your family, mate. But just doesn't end there. It's not thoughts and prayers, and now practical help there. Big up everybody in this community, man. Love it. Right, so Jez is saying regarding the frogs, random geezer in an inflatable costume dancing in front of ICE agents. They tried to pepper spray him. Footage got out about, and now there's loads of them. Oh, was this the one where the coppers pepper sprayed through the vent in the back of the frog thing? I have seen that. Absolutely, just on camera as well. They just really don't give a monkeys, do they? Absolutely crazy. Joanne's saying, a guy who runs my local go-to restaurant came to see me yesterday with lunch and a brand new walker because of my foot and a new Udi. How kind is that? Spot on. There was at least two parts of that. I didn't know what you were meaning, though, but I get the general gist. Absolutely spot on. Just really lovely to see that conversation happening around helping Ross and his family in the comments. Class. Right, any more? Any more for any more? We've went, I tell you what, we've went nearly 50 minutes here, and I thought it'd be good for 30. Seems to be clearing. I feel a bit better now than I did, but I've got no more material for you. Andy's saying, I work in Stanley, wondering which venue is going to host it. Keep an eye on it for her. Let me know. Really love to know. Jez, back to the frogs. That's the one. Now there's loads of costume folk making ice look ridiculous. Frogs together strong. Belter. Belter. I agree. Matty and Rossi saying of our time. What a great way to end it. Thanks for turning up and being patient with us while I get through. I absolutely love you for it. Some days I can talk, some days I can't, but like probably halfway point today, last time we did this, couldn't really talk, powered through. You really don't want to see what happened afterwards. I had to burn those tissues. Class. Anyway, really happy that this is starting to form up again. We'll just keep taking it from here. I'm going to get myself away though, because talking too much is hurting my ear today. So I'll see you in a bit. Much love to all as ever. Goodbye.